Let me get some oil first. So we want to talk about the results from flipping pay-per-view up on AEW and what's not, right? Forbidden Door. Now Forbidden Door was solid. So let's talk about Forbidden Door, right? Forbidden Door, we can talk about some of the matches. So obviously they had the tag match, Edge and Christian, Cope and Cage and Cope versus the Dogs, Finley's son, David Finley and Clark Connors. So flipping, they going for the tag match, right? There was a spot where Clark Connors was going for the flipping spear, and he challenged Cope to a spear off. They going for a spear, right? And when they do the spear off, they hit each other. So that's the climax of that, right? What's going on. Then we see the lights going up. I see the Bang Bang Gang by the entrance ramp. When I saw them, I was like, now the only person they can show up when they have the lights go dark and bring back somebody surprising, somebody else is coming out. So they have like Jay White. I kind of figured Jay White was coming out. Switchblade come inside the ring. You got David Finley, Malcolm, and I'm flipping Cope and Kids retain the belts. That's tag. We ain't going all of it. Let's go to the O&R tournament for the men's and the females. So let's go for the females, right? The females, it was Maya World taking on Mercedes, and we didn't see Maya World. She defeated her teacher, which is Athena. Two black girls, nice, whatever. I thought they was gonna let Athena come against Mercedes in a run back, but they let Maya World beat Athena, so she could fight Mercedes. And I was like, okay, they let Maya World beat Athena. Flipping now that I made Maya World taking on Mercedes, I was like, y'all gonna make Mercedes a back-to-back champion or tournament winner. And so that's what they did. Mercedes ended up, aka Sasha Banks, ended up winning the Owen Hart tournament again, back-to-back, because she won it last year, and then she won it again this year, last night. So let's finish talking about Forbidden Door. We gotta move on. We got Forbidden Door to cover. We got WWE Night of Champions to cover. We got Great American Bash NXT to cover. And we got Slammiversary to cover. So back on Forbidden Door. So we already got the winner between Sasha Banks, aka Mercedes-Benz, Mercedes Moné. Now she will be challenging the AEW champion, women's champion, which currently is Tekla. So I can't wait to see that match. This time around, last year she was unsuccessful against Toni Storm. Now this year they gotta make her win over Tekla. Like, to me, overall rating, Mercedes, aka Sasha Banks, have a higher overall over Tekla. Both of them been in Japan and Stardom before, but Mercedes has more star power, you see? That's the only belt she really captured at AEW, so give the belt to Mercedes Tony Khan if you know what you're doing. Moving on, we had the men's Owen Hart finals. Basically, it's the equivalent to WWE King of the Ring tournament. So we had Ospreay and we had Swerve taking on each other, and which I know it was gonna come down to both of them either way, because I'm like, I called the tournament. I look at the tournament. They had 8 people in the tournament for the Owen Hart. They had Swerve, Cesaro, aka Claudio. They had Brody King. They had Bandito. They had Mark Davis. They had, I think, Mark Briscoe is inside that too. Either way, I already know it's gonna come down to Ospreay and Swerve. Because I'm like, last year they was partners with each other when they was in a different storyline last year, and I'm like, okay, now this time around they're gonna face each other, especially with the rivalry going on and the alliance that the Death Riders have connected to Ospreay. But Ospreay's still carrying a good guy, trying to be better than what he was before. So that's why I saw that Ospreay was gonna go against Swerve, and I already said, okay, Ospreay's gonna win this because he's gonna go at the Wembley Stadium Arena in London, but they have all in London, and only makes sense for him to win the world, win the world championship once more if he had it before in his home country, which is in London. So that's what they have in. That's basically the equivalent of WWE SummerSlam in August. So I'm pushing for Ospreay to finally get that, and he's going to be facing whoever is the winner between MJF and pretty much Mark Briscoe. So yeah, take it off him. Okay, what else happened for Forbidden Door? We had Tekla. She took on Starlight Kid from Stardom. It was a decent match. I didn't care too much for it, but I know of the females. What else we had? We had that 12-man steel cage match tag team with the Don Callis family taking on Mark Briscoe, Konosuke Takeshita, or as Mark Briscoe likes to call him, Konosuke Takashita. Let's go upon, and the thing about it is they played this well because they had 3 of the pay-per-viewers on Sunday and only 1 pay-per-view was on Saturday. So they played smart with time-wise. I think Forbidden Door, AEW, New Japan, CMLL, I think they had their pay-per-view in Cali. And you know, Cali is 3 hours behind local time. So if it was like 7 p.m. local time in my country in regular time, it was like 4 o'clock in Cali. So they 3 hours behind. So with them being 3 hours behind, and I think there was in San Diego or San Francisco, one of them. The other pay-per-views that was going on local time, they could carry on, like TNA Slammiversary and flipping NXT Great American Bash, right? Because Clash of Night of Champions was in Saudi Arabia. That's why they had it on Saturday. And they in Saudi Arabia, they hours ahead of time, so they had that set up. So moving on, we going on to flipping Night of Champions. The highlight of Night of Champions was 2 things that I was pushing for. I already know Obo is going to become King of the Ring. That was given to me. I already know that. I know he's going to be Jay. Now Jay, this is his 3rd time or 4th time I think around being a runner-up and failing to succeed in the flipping King of the Ring tournament. And flipping, so he didn't win. He basically lost. So he basically lost, and we already know that Obo is gonna win. Obo win that. I already know EO is gonna win. EO beat Liv because ain't no way they're gonna let Liv be that greedy, bro. We can't let Liv be that and flip and eat that at the same time, bro. That don't make no sense. Liv is already a champion, so for her to try to have a crown and want to try face Rhea and be a double champ, that was gonna happen. They need to let Becky Lynch do that, is it? Now I want Charlotte to win the Queen of the Ring. That would have pushed her to flip and actually make it to somehow catch up the reign with that. Now had Charlotte win, she would have been able to catch that reign, but she's still stuck at 14 times. The third thing that I like what they did with the flipping Night of Champions was they finally give, after 10 plus years, bro, 10 plus years, they give Sammy Boy, El Generico, the world champion. Not the way how they pampered and do it, not pampered, but how they did for Kevin Owens, because Kevin Owens was more of a heel out of the 2, you know, which is the good Canadian and the bad Canadian, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. but two best boys. But one had to be in a top heel, one had to be in a in between face. People started to boo him around this time, but his involvement being inside the feud between Cody and Gunther lead them to this, to where they probably actually pushed them to say, okay, let's give him this championship. And then they always, because he well known and popularized in Saudi Arabia, he knows the language, and a lot of his fans in Saudi Arabia, they finally give it to him being in Saudi Arabia in that triple threat. Plus he pinned the champ, and like he pinned Gunther, he pinned basically Cody Rhodes in a roll-up. Which when I watched the playback, I said, Cody, you could have kicked out of that. I'm like, they probably setting it up for that. So over that way, Over could win the belt off Sami, you know. But in my mind, because of pride-wise and fantasy matches, Over want to go after. He want to go after Roman. But I don't want him to go after Roman, because they ain't gonna let Roman drop the belt right now. A better chance and better ideas. WWE, if y'all listening, listen to the fan mind. Let him go after Sami Zayn, because Sami Zayn already have the championship. This is for Clash champ. I mean, not the champions. I was saying Clash. That's it for Night of Champions. That was all the results for that. Tiffy retained her belt, which was good. Now Charlotte interfered. She got back because basically Jade caused her the qualifying for the Queen of the Ring when she was in the finals. I mean the semi-finals. And so Charlotte just got her leg back and get Jade. So we'll see what else they have planned for Charlotte for the rest of this year, because we got about less than 7 months, 6.5 months more until the end of the year before we get into the New Year's. So we want to make Charlotte 50 in time. Right now it's a rat race between Charlotte. Right now it's a rat race between Charlotte and Randy on to see who will become a 50 in time champion first. Right? As much as I ride with Flippin' Randy, because they had made Charlotte acquire so many times, and she tired with Randy basically on the female side. Give it to Charlotte. Especially how Randy out of action right now. Randy taking vacation, man. He chilling right now. Chilling with his family, his wife and everything. They chilling right now. He probably could come back. Maybe by time if they put him in the Money in the Bank or something, or later on in this year, he could come back again. You see? But let's move on to Flippin' Great American Bash, NXT. Let's go to the main event. Kendall Gray versus Lola Vice, right? I thought it was gonna make Lola Vice championship reign longer, but that happened. They give it to Kendall Gray, which is cool. I don't mind that, bro. It's all about opportunities and switching the people. Plus, Kendall Gray was a former Evolve Women's Champion. I think she was the second ever. She won it from the person who became the first time the inaugural Women's Champ for Evolve. She took it from him, which is Callie Armstrong, and she became the second woman. So, giving the belt, the main NXT Women's title to Kendall Gray, I dig her. That's my type of gal, Lola Vice, she take it from Damian Priest, so I can't dig with that. So it's fine, So that's good. They give it to Kendall Gray. Tony D'Angelo retained himself against Evil, basically. AKA. Well, I know him as Evil in New Japan Pro Wrestling, NJPW, and I followed him for many years. He came to NXT as Naraku. That's his name in NXT, Naraku. He trying to follow basically in the footsteps of Flippin' Shinsuke Nakamura, Asuka, maybe Io Sky, Japanese wrestlers coming up. So he fought against Tony D'Angelo for the NXT World's title, and although he used a firebomb to try to destroy Tony D'Angelo's eyes before the match, Tony D still end up retaining, which is good. They ain't gonna let Tony D drop that right now. Also, Tony D'Angelo is the first and only Grand Slam champion in NXT, which is good. A good feat. What else they got? Miles Bourne, aka Randy Orton's cousin, or younger brother, as I call him. He retained his North American title. Zaria, she retained her North American Women's title against Tatum Paxley, aka Baby Page, as I call her. Ren Sinclair, she retained her Speed title, so now her and Kendall Gray, because them two is a duet, well, a duo in a team, in what they call the Ren QCC, and both of them has titles, so that's good. They plan came successful. That's about it. We can cover the rest back on flipping. We want to cover some of the matches that happened. It ain't gonna be all. We want to go over some of the debuts and show-ups, which is Apollo Crews, aka known as Yuha Nation. He came at Slammiversary. We saw Amazing Red came back. It's one of the pioneers in X Division alongside AJ Styles when they did the X Division back in 2002. And for a company that's 20 plus years old, the X Division has been always a high key mark in TNA. And so they had like Ultimate X. That was dope. We saw that they let as Lei Ying Lee, formerly known as Xia Li in NXT/WWE, the Asian gal from China. Basically the Nets version of Gail Kim. They trying to make us the Nets version of Gail Kim. We saw her drop the belt to Robbie Brookside daughter, which is, I don't know why they let her drop it to the English gal, Xia Brookside. They let her drop it to her. I don't think she was ready, but hey, I think they copied maybe WWE. They was like, yeah, flipping Kendall Gray could win the title off Lola Vice, make a new champ. Let's make Xia Brookside the new knockout women's champion. We saw flipping Nick Nemeth, I call him Nick Nemo, aka Dove Ziggles, win the TNA World title. Took it off Mike Santana. We saw the Hardys regain the tag team titles from the System in that three-way ladder match they had with the System, the Hardys, and the Righteous. It's always good to see the Hardys win tag title gold again. Always stacking the bar. Now we get two of our childhood tag team specialists of the 90s and the early 2000s, who currently are tag champions, who also help innovated tables, ladders, and chairs. TLC basically. We get Edge, known as Adam Cole, and Christian as the AEW World Tag Team Champions currently, and we get the Hardys as tag champions on TNA. We still got our teams going strong, who was around in this game for over 25-30 years, and they still, showing up for the younger cats. Okay. Alright, continuing on. What else we had at Slammiversary? We had the Sammy Sosa. We had the Ricky Sosa, bang bang, Sosa taking on Eric Young as a redemption match. We had that match going on, and we had also they had some other highlights they had for Slammiversary. They inducted Amazing Red. Well, that's two people who was inducted as inductees for the TNA Hall of Fame. Of course, that was Amazing Red and ODB. They'll be I think, for the inductee for the Hall of Fame at this October, which is good for Amazing Red. Another highlight they did was a Hall of Fame and past knockout, which is Tracy Brooks. If y'all was watching TNA around the 05 and 07 era, Tracy Brooks used to be alongside with Bobby Roode, known as Robert Roode, and James Storm, and she introduced finally the secondary women's title, or as they call it, knockouts title, for the knockouts on TNA, which is the knockouts TV title. It took them long enough to make a secondary title for the women's, aka the knockouts, so that's kind of a long time coming. And they introduced that title after the match with Mara Shade, aka known as Jakara Jackson from NXT, and Indy Hartwell, so which is cool. Viewers they had, this was an action-packed weekend, past weekend they had with the pay-per-views from Saturday and Sunday. Overall, you want to start with Night of Champions. We gonna rate that. Night of Champions, I think we had gave that like what, a 8.5. Yeah, 8.5. I give that 8.5/9. Only highlights about that I like was the King of the Ring, which is a given. I know Obo is gonna win. Io winning her one, I know that part too. And Sami winning the title after 10 plus years. Forbidden Door, that's a 9.5. Forbidden Door, AEW Forbidden Door, 9.5. NXT Great American Bash, I think that was an 8. I give that an 8. I like how they did the opening as the world title, beside with Tony D'Angelo and Naraku, aka Evil from New Japan. They made the main event the women's match, which is alright. So it's in between an 8 and 8.5 with Great American Bash. Slammiversary on the other hand, finally, I give them a 8.5, almost a 9, because they had a lot of matches, detail, some returns, some debuts, and some new things they had highlighted throughout that. So I feel them with that, and that's my rating for the 4 pay-per-views that happened. Now we look forward to SummerSlam, All In London for AEW. What TNA got that's coming up, I forget, and whatever else NXT has going on that's coming up.
Good vibes only. Pull me close and love me slowly. Good vibes only. Whole place rocking sweet.